Each morning, I wake up torn between wanting to reform the world and enjoy the world. It makes it hard to plan my day. I love this quote by E.B. White, and so for almost 19 years, I had this in a frame on my desk at the Community Foundation. While I was at the Community Foundation for those 19 years, it was an incredible experience, working with a wonderful team, many of whom are here tonight, and a wonderful group of donors who are also here tonight, and working with many of you as well to reform our community, to transform our community. It was wonderful, rewarding work. So when I retired a couple of months ago, I thought I would move into enjoying our community, from transforming to enjoying. I was wrong. Why? Because like many of you here tonight, I am civically obsessed. So what does that mean to be civically obsessed? It's the short definition of being civically obsessed is this. You're engaged in your community. You're involved in your community. You serve on boards, you volunteer, you give back. That's the short answer. But for those of us who are civically obsessed, we take this much further. And some of you may recognize some of these telltale signs of being civically obsessed. Number one, when a project is announced in your community, you immediately start drive-bys. Morning, noon, and night, you drive by the project site. You want to make sure it's starting, it's on schedule, and it is completed. Now take it from me, this can make the construction crews a little nervous. Number two, you want to be in the know. You want to know who is doing what out there and who isn't doing what out there, and you want details constantly. So on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, you are very frustrated. Why? Because we have no newspaper on those days. Now, many of you get your news online. I know that. But for those of us who were uber civically obsessed, there is just not enough detail. You want that newspaper. Next, you see the unique beauty of this community in so many ways. You see our beautiful architecture, old architecture, gorgeous. You see our stunning new architecture. You see our beautiful parks. You see our new trail system. It is all beautiful. So when you see somebody littering, you are ready for a citizen's arrest. Next, you crave recognition for your community. So when you see those lists that say the top 10 community for this, the top 10 community for that, and when your community is not listed, you know that this has been a serious oversight and you are not happy. Next, you see momentum everywhere. You see positive change happening everywhere. So when you hear those whiners, and every community has whiners, and we all know who they are, and what an energy drain. This gets us nowhere. And last, obviously, those of us who are civically obsessed have an incredible amount of pride in our community. So much so that when someone asks you about your community, you tend to get a little aggressive. Guilty as charged. So this word obsession, when you think about the word obsession, it really has a negative connotation, doesn't it? When you think about people who are obsessed by a movie star or some other famous person, and they stalk them. They're arrested. That's not good. When you think about Imelda Marcos, some of you may have read this recently. She had 32,000 pairs of shoes. Now that is an obsession, and it's not a good one. And I love shoes. I also love chocolate. Isn't everybody obsessed with chocolate? But think about these obsessions. All of these obsessions are very self-centered. They're very focused on the individual. The beauty of being civically obsessed is that you are focused outwardly. And I believe that we are all called to focus outwardly. Think about the people around you who are the happiest, who are the healthiest. These are the ones that focus their energy outwardly. That is a beautiful thing. So, over my 19 years at the Community Foundation, through some successes and failures, which are never fun, there are a couple of things that I learned about channeling this civic obsession to really make it work for our community. And so I want to share those with you tonight. Number one. Listen to what your community wants for itself. How do you do that? There are formal ways of listening. We all know that there are visioning processes, there are focus groups, there are surveys, all gathering community input. Very, very important. So that's one formal way of listening to your community. But there are informal ways too, like here tonight. And then also, every community has that coffee shop. You know what those are, who those are around here. There's several of them. Informally, you can hang out at those coffee shops and really listen to what the community wants for itself. There are two really important ingredients to this listening, though. Number one, we need to always get a diverse viewpoint. All of the viewpoints that represent our cross-section in this great community. The second thing is we need to listen to young people. Why? Because all of us are trying to build the community of the future, their future. And also it's very energizing to listen to young people, let's just face it. It's wonderful. Next, we all need to move from I to we. What does that mean? You know, individuals have great ideas. All through history, we know that great things have started with individuals. But to really implement an idea, to really have great things happen in our community, we have to build a network so that there is community input, community ownership, to really make that idea take hold and be sustainable. Move from I to we. Third, every community has unique assets. Whether your community is small or large, every community has unique assets. So our challenge is to identify those assets and build on them, leverage the stew out of them. This is so important, and we all have a tendency to look at what has been successful in another community and then do it here. No. We need to recognize what we have in our community that is unique to our community and build on that. So, if you're stumped about what this might be, here's the thought. Be a tourist in your own community. What does that mean? When you travel, what do? You look at the greatest things in that community that you want to experience. And so you recognize the asset in that community. When you're at home, what are we doing? We're working, we're feeding the family, we're just making life go. But we aren't experiencing the assets in our own community quite often. And so I think to remind ourselves about what the assets are, the unique assets that we have right here We need to be a tourist in our own community, and I'm adding that to my retirement list. Next, we need to work on visible projects. That has an absolute multiplier effect. Think about what is happening right here in our community. Our fabulous railroad park, our new urban park right downtown. Who could imagine that that was an industrial wasteland? And now it is just our shining star. Look at what is happening all around Railroad Park. We have our great new urban ballpark. We have 2 or 3 great new projects right there. Making your efforts visible is a great multiplier and energizer. Next, settle for nothing less than world class. I mean, really, why bother? If it can't be world class, we shouldn't fool around with it. And we are also really getting that here in Birmingham, Alabama. It's a wonderful thing to see. Everything going on at UAB, our railroad park, Crossplex, our great restaurants and chefs, all world class, except nothing left. Now, a very important ingredient in all of this is to never accept personal recognition. In fact, give other people the credit. I saw a beautiful thing a couple of months ago. I was at an event that was celebrating the restoration of the Lyric Theater, our wonderful vaudeville theater, speaking of world class. And the leader of this effort was being thanked and recognized. It was wonderful. You know what her response was? What are we going to take on next? Imagine that. You recognize the people that are doing great work. They deserve it. But look at the energy that was created. And I can't wait to see what this woman takes on next. It is going to be wonderful. Now, my last comment is the most important. As those of us that are civically obsessed, we must be ambassadors for our community. Because if we are not positive about our community, who will be? If we are not positive about where our community's been, where it is now, and where it's headed, our children won't live here. Businesses won't move here. People will not stay here. If we are not positive ambassadors authentically, then shame on us. Because that is what will keep the momentum going in our community. So here's the deal. Our community and every community has problems. And we will always have problems. But if we are not positive, if we are not hopeful, if we do not represent a brighter future, then we will never have the energy to tackle those problems. So I have a challenge for all of you, and it's really simple. Be civically obsessed. Thank you.